Hi everyone, welcome to this week of Sage Insanity, where we do a whole lot of cleansing and return to a semblance of sanity in our lives. And as mentioned on some of my platforms, this week I'm going to be talking about a topic that really matters to me. And I am super excited to be talking about this. I'm also a little bit nervous, but I think it's going to be a really good and important topic. So I would like to talk about the LGBTQ plus community today. And this really is very dear to my heart because I'm a member of the community. And not a lot of people know this about me directly. I have not found it necessary to tell every single human, but some things have come to light that make me want to be more vocal about it. So I saw a video on my Facebook the other day about a pastor in Indianapolis who said some really hateful, horrible things about queer people, about how harm should come to them at the hands of these religious people, and it was just devastating to me. And so I entitled this podcast, Just Pray the Gay Away. And the reason I did that is there is this mentality. I grew up, as mentioned before, fundamentalist Christian. I grew up in a very homophobic, hateful atmosphere in this topic. So there was a lot of fear-mongering, there was a lot of hate, and I had a lot of homophobia myself growing up, which I ended up finding out was just internalized homophobia of myself from my own queerness. I can't remember the first time I really was aware of the fact that there's different people who love different people. Not everybody just boy loves a girl loves a boy, etc. There was more to it than that. But I do very much remember the first time that I realized that I was not straight. So I was, I think, 23, and I was working at my job in Washington that I had moved to go away to school, and there was a lesbian couple that had come into my store, and the masculine presenting woman was so breathtakingly gorgeous. I could not stop staring at her. And it was more than just like, oh, she's really pretty. Like, I was like nervous, like how you feel nervous when you have a crush on somebody. And I remember being very scared about it and like praying really hard to not think those things or feel those things. So praying the gay away. And then I didn't really think about it until I was in a class at my Bible college called Intercultural Communication. And we had a research project we had to do where we had to study a group or sub-people group that were typically misunderstood and mistreated by the church. And so my group decided to pick the LGBTQ plus community because historically the church has been really horrible to the community. So it was my job to find some people from the community to interview and kind of hear their stories. And I only knew one gay person at the time. It was this guy that I had worked with. And it was actually really funny because like my gaydar was like completely not intact at all at this time, because he came into our store, same store I was working at where I had that experience with the lady, and he was there with his boyfriend, and I thought he was like so cute, and I was like totally shamelessly flirting with him, and everybody's like, he's gay, and I was like, no way. And he ended up working with us later on, and one time he came up to me and he said, I'm sorry I crushed your dreams, Ari. And I was like, guys, why did you tell him? But I just literally had no idea. So when I had to find people for this project, I went up to Trevor and I was like, Trevor, you're gay, you know gay people. Why don't you invite some of your friends over to my house? I have to interview them for this class project. So he asked like 5 of his friends to come over to my house, and I made them dinner. And I sat down and I actually like listened to their stories. And it was the first time in my life that I couldn't put queer people in a box, that they're just like defiantly wronging the Lord and sinning and all that kind of stuff like that, but there was a deeper depth to it. And it was the first time I realized that there was actually gray issues, that everything wasn't just black and white. And I got to see somebody for who they were as a person rather than their identity that religious circles labeled them as. And I started being a big ally at that point for the community. And it wasn't until I went through my divorce, when I was talking with one of my best friends, I was telling her, I was like, oh, I need to date like a 40-year-old who's got his life together, who has a house and all this stuff like that. And my best friend had said, or you could look into this part of yourself that you've never acknowledged or have hidden. And it was the first time in my life that I realized that it wasn't a bad thing to be queer, and that it was okay for me to feel that way. And I, yeah, like I said, I've been very quiet about why I've been an ally, other than the fact that, like, basic human decency, we should just love people and support people. But I feel like the time we are in right now, I can't be quiet anymore. I can't be silent anymore. I have to be more vocal about these things. And legitimately, coming from a fundamentalist Christian perspective, growing up, we were told that everybody was made in the image of God, and that we were supposed to love everybody, and the two greatest commandments were to love God and to love other people. But it really seemed like the underlying message that was propagated, was the people that are made in the image of God are cis hetero white people, and we love the people who are the same as us, and we preach this message of love, but we really hate everybody that's different than us. And I just can't stand that mentality, and I can't be part of that mentality. And so I just wanted to be vocal about it, as a queer person, as a person that has people in my life that are queer that I love so much. And I am super excited to be able to use my platform to just advocate for people, and to show that there are people out there who love and support people, period. So anyhow, I really appreciate you listening. I'm sure there'll be more that comes up from this podcast, but I kind of just wanted to start with this, and I hope you have a wonderful day. Thank you so much for taking the time. Love and light.